Um, I'm gonna go over some things about having schizophrenia, kind of like what it's like. Um, Everybody's different. I don't know if you've ever seen A Beautiful Mind before. It's with John Nash. He was a famous mathematician that figured out some kind of great mathematical revelation. Um, he studied, I think, at Yale or Harvard or something on a scholarship. This is all off the movie, anyway. But SC is like a chronic disease. They don't know what causes it. They don't even know how the medications that help it work or what they do exactly. There's most people, I think, the percentage wise, can't really function day to day. Some can. I used not to be able to, now I can. The best way alright, so in this movie with John Nash, he's got schizophrenia. The onset happens when he's in college, and he has this imaginary roommate, like an imaginary friend that is part of his life. He sees him everywhere. He thinks he's real. He's still got a social life. He's a little quirky and awkward, but he's still got some buddies he hangs out with. Then it goes a little bit later down the line, and he meets his imaginary friend's niece, and they become a part of his life. He starts working at, I think, MIT. He's working on all his mathematical equations. He doesn't really like teaching the classes, but that's part of the deal because they give him use of their utilities and their technology, I guess, if he agrees to teach some classes. Then all of a sudden he starts having these delusions of this FBI guy who hires him supposedly to be a code breaker, and that was all a delusion too. So he spends all his time in his office, and he's like going through newspapers trying to find codes. And so you walk in this office and he's got newspapers posted all over with circles around words, and he thinks he's breaking codes. In reality, he's not. It's a delusion. Schizophrenia is just delusional hallucinations, visual, audio, not really knowing how to what reality is, not being able to handle your emotions because of influxes of information that are just like constant and quick. And I think for me, it's always been sort of like, alright, so some people have a watch on their wrist, it says it's 8 o'clock. They look at the minute hand at 12 and the hour hand at 8. They see the second hand going around and they know in a couple of minutes it's going to be 8:05. And the best way I describe if they made a movie about me, it would be, it's like instead of looking at the clock, the hour hand, and the minute hand, and the second hand, and then filling the rest of your life in with, normal activities and stuff, it's like you can see the inner workings of a clock. And if you open up a little wristwatch, there's so many tiny little inner workings that have to happen at the right time, that move and do different things. Just, I don't know how many pieces is in a wristwatch, probably like 100, I don't know, maybe 1,000, I don't know. But for me, it's always been, I didn't look at just the minute hand and the hour hand. I looked at the inner workings of the clock, and the inner workings of the clock were like, I could see the fabric of reality. I'd say the fabric of creation, because God was involved. I was involved in the story, and the story was the story of creation. Everything had a meaning. Everything fit together. Everything happened for a meaning. And at times, it was just completely too much of an information influx, and I'd get overwhelmed. It's not exactly like bipolar, because bipolar you get mania where you feel good, and then you have a crash. Schizophrenia, sometimes you don't ever feel that mania, but I did, but it's a lot. It's not like a constant cycle of mania most of the time. It's a nightmare, but still in those times of mania, I believe that a lot of it was true. I've heard that schizophrenics, they go with their gut feeling more. Their faith is a lot stronger in things that they can put together. They go with their hunches. So that's probably part of the reason why I believe that a lot of what I experienced in those times was true. I was a Christian, and I believed that there was a heaven, a hell, a God, a devil, and people, and creation was kind of telling a story, like the story of creation. Like God made a poem, and the poem was playing out, and I was just reading all the words of this poem, and it was very interesting. And so I take meds now, I need them, and I wouldn't want to go back to that place because I think that I've got everything that I could ever get out of that. Maybe not, maybe, but anyway, a lot of what I am today and what makes me what I am today is because what I learned in those times of craziness. And so in a way, I guess you could say it benefited me a bit, That's basically part of my story. I mean, I've had schizophrenia for 15 years, so it's definitely not the whole story, but that's what I wanted to share anyway about it. Yep, okay.